The Deadlands were quiet that cycle. No storms. No drones. See, just the wind hissing through fractured solar fields and the brittle bones of long-dead machines. Nyssa was alone. Her silencer gear hummed low against her spine, tuned to field resonance. She was on patrol, logging edge readings for vault perimeter anomalies, which was standard protocol and usually a formality. But that day something changed. The alert blinked red once, faint, buried beneath static. Something moved. She followed the signal across cracked dirt and melted steel until she reached a shallow depression near the vault's seam line. At first she thought it was debris, just another dumped mod scrap or burnt-out drone husk. But then it breathed. Nyssa approached slowly. Kneeling, she brushed the dust from the figure curled in the dirt. Human? A child, the girl was barely conscious. Her skin flushed from atmospheric exposure, her clothes too clean for the outer sectors, and her fingers twitched with unknown input. Her eyes opened once, a vivid violet. Not natural, not modified, something else. Not fear, not confusion, just recognition. It was as if she knew Nyssa, as if she had seen her before. Cassie, Nyssa said quietly, activating her neural link. Scan. No biometric match, no city registration, no known birth line. Where did she come from? No origin found. The signature reads non-native. The wind stirred, blowing dust across the girl's legs. She didn't react, she just watched. A thought came unbidden. You should report this. Terminate the anomaly, seal the breach. But her hand didn't move. Her weapon stayed holstered. Nyssa stared at the child for a long time. And for the first time in her silencer career, she felt hesitation. Not weakness, not sentiment, just a thread, one that might unravel the whole weave. She opened a secure line. New subject, no match, no origin. Requesting authorization for silent placement. There was a long pause, then static, then silence. Nyssa terminated the link before Central responded. She gathered the girl in her arms, light as smoke, and carried her toward the city edge. She wouldn't report this. She wouldn't register her. She'd place her with a controlled foster line, monitor her, watch her grow, not because she trusted her, but because she wanted to see what the vault would do. And the vault did nothing for 12 years. Until now, some have entered the veil, none have returned. Theory suggests it's where timelines erode into entropy, a non-space between realities. Near its edge, the vault flares when something vanishes, as if tracking loss. Maybe the veil is a seam in a dying timeline. Touching it unspools your atoms into the void, not death, but erasure. Those who vanished into the wall were consumed, their existence erased, and Lorraine could never confirm this. The sky above Lorraine was a bruise that never healed, swollen, violet, and crawling with static. Artificial suns flickered behind the smog, casting fractured, pixelated light that never reached the city's bones. Liana stood on the edge of her crumbling balcony, her boots grinding into rust-cracked concrete. The wind from the upper exhaust lanes kicked at her coat, as if it wanted her to fall. She didn't flinch. She never did. Beneath her, Lorraine sprawled in vertical sickness, towers stacked like rusted bones, each stitched with glitching advertisements and ghost code promises. The small city looked peaceful from this height. It lied well. Behind her, soft footsteps. "You're going to jump again, aren't you?" Soren's voice was low, close, and tired of this ritual, but here anyway. Liana didn't turn. "Not jump," she replied. "Walk." She could feel Soren's stare pressing into her shoulder like a question with too many answers. "You're insane," came the reply. Liana smiled, a half smile she knew Soren hated, just enough charm to twist a gut, just enough darkness to make someone wonder if she meant it. "That's what they keep telling me." Soren moved to stand beside her, pulling his coat tighter against the cold bleed radiating from the deflector grid overhead. The city's hum was fainter here, thinned by altitude and decay, but it never fully disappeared. Nothing ever really disappeared in Lorraine. Liana didn't look at him, but she could feel the tension, the caution, the fear. She was already packed, boots scuffed from past trespasses, gloves clipped to her belt, Neuralink keys flashing faintly beneath her collar. She looked exactly how she felt, built for places no one returned from. "You packed the neuro-dampeners this time, right?" Soren asked. "I'm not pulling you out of another Freymine swarm." Liana tapped her belt, the soft blue blink of confirmation. "Scout's honor. You were never a scout." "Exactly." That earned her a sharp look, followed by a sigh and then silence. They left that night, weaving through Sector B-17's forgotten service corridors, hollow arteries where the city had stopped pretending to care. Wires hung like rot, vents groaned like dying lungs. The old maintenance duct behind the retinal gate was still there, just like Liana said it would be. She ducked into the crawl space first, shouldering past cables, dust, and the breath of dying machines. The air tasted like heat-damaged circuits and old oil. She liked it. "Are you sure this still works?" Soren asked from behind, his voice muffled by his sleeve filter. Liana smirked and glanced over her shoulder. Only one way to find out. She tapped her wrist key at the edge, where the city's security field shimmered with fractured static. The shimmer folded inward, just wide enough for them to pass through. On the other side, there was nothing. No neon lights, no server hum, no sound, just dry black dirt and a wind that didn't belong to any atmosphere Liana remembered breathing. "This is the world's end," Soren whispered behind her. Liana stepped forward. "No," she said. "This is the part they don't want us to see." They crossed the threshold together, no alarms, no drones, just the kind of silence that had teeth. Liana kept walking. She didn't look back, she didn't have to. She knew Soren would follow, he always did. Beyond the deflector grid, the world had no color. Just dust, endless ash sweeping across the dead earth. Wind slithered through shattered solar fields and over soil where nothing green had grown in generations. Old war mechs lay like buried titans, half submerged and still flickering with corrupted warning lights that meant nothing anymore. Soren didn't speak. Not for the first hour. He had too many questions to count, but Liana looked like she was somewhere else entirely, as if this wasteland whispered lullabies only she could hear. So Soren stayed quiet, not wanting to break the moment or remind Liana that this wasn't peace. It was ruin. "We're getting close," Liana called, not turning around. "Signals spiking." "To what?" Soren asked, squinting into the wind. Liana's grin was brief and sharp. "Answers?" They passed through a graveyard of steel trees, satellite scaffolds twisted into strange branching towers. The wind threaded through the wreckage, making the metal groan like dying gods. Soren stayed close. His sleeve filter buzzed softly. The air tasted wrong. Worse than Lorraine's decay, this was older, sterile, as if it had been sanitized by something that didn't understand breath. They stopped beside the fractured base of a weather tower. It was warm, not sun-warm. There was no real sun out here anymore, but it was active. Something had moved through this place recently, watched and left. "There," Liana said, pointing ahead. Soren followed her gaze. A shape protruded from the dust, seamless and still. Half buried in white ash was a dome, perfect and untouched. It didn't reflect the sky or them. Its surface swallowed light as if it had never belonged to this reality. Soren's breath caught, and his body tensed with a primal wrongness he had only ever felt during failed neural link drills. Something in him remembered this thing before her mind did. "Liana, wait." His voice was small, lost in the wind. What if this thing sealed for a reason? Liana didn't hesitate. Then that's even more reason to open it. She knelt and pressed her palm flat against the dome's surface. The reaction was instant. A low vibration hummed through the air like a buried song. Then, light. Veins of gold ignited across the dome's skin. Quicksilver flowing through invisible pathways. It didn't open, it breathed. And when it did, the air that poured out was warm, alive. Soren blinked, "That's not possible." A voice answered, but not with sound. It came directly into her mind, like a memory she had forgotten was hers. DNA recognized, Subject is Inheritor of the Vault. Access granted. Liana froze. For the first time since they left the city, she looked unsure. "They were waiting for me," she said softly. Something in her voice made Soren's chest twist stop. "Liana, stop." Soren stepped forward. "Whatever's inside, it's not worth losing you. Can't you see that?" Liana turned to him. Her eyes weren't cold, but they weren't where Soren needed them to be either. "You think I would bring anyone else out here?" she asked. "You're chasing something dangerous, and I trust you to keep me alive through it. That has to mean something." Soren didn't know what to say to that. It felt like both a promise and a farewell. Liana took his wrist. Her hand was warm and steady. Behind her, the dome pulsed like a heart, waiting. Soren hated how it felt like Liana had already begun to step away from him, even before her feet moved. Liana crossed the threshold. The dome didn't open, it took her. No sound, no flash, just silence, complete and perfect. Then she was gone. Soren stood frozen. Dust stung his face as the wind howled past. She hadn't told her. Not really. Not the truth he had carried for too long. He loved her, and now she was gone. Then the voice returned. "Come with me." Not Liana's, the vault's. And somehow, it sounded like it knew him too. Soren stepped forward and vanished into the light.